Hi, everyone. Welcome. I'm Scott at Chief Architect, and we're here live today to talk about ceiling tips and tricks. Today's session will be recorded. We'll be sending this out following the session, also with some survey questions. We would encourage your feedback as we've been doing these every Thursday at noon. You may see my occasional assistant, Maya, today. She's here to help. We also have a number of Chief Architect staff members available as you're chatting in your questions. They'll keep an eye on me and help answer your questions. In the presentation today, I'm going to focus on the ceiling tips and tricks that I use. So let me switch around here and do a little bit of screen share. Welcome to the Chief Architect Challenge on ceilings. I'm going to cover a number of items on how ceilings work, including my tips and techniques. If you'd like to download the plan from our Chief Talk user forum and try these steps for yourself, we encourage you to do it and have fun. You can post your results using the hashtag Chief Challenge. Let's go into the program and get started. When you create a room in Chief Architect, in this case using 4 walls for this rectangular shape, the program will automatically create a default flat ceiling for you. You can control the ceiling height by opening up the room, going into the dialog underneath the structure panel, and changing the ceiling height. If I add 12 inches to this, you'll immediately see the ceiling has changed. You can do this on a room by room basis. The default flat ceiling can be removed out of the room by going back into the room dialog underneath the structure panel. Partway down is an option to simply remove the flat ceiling out of the diagram. This will create what's called a cathedral ceiling, and the ceiling will basically follow the roof in this case. If you go into the Build Roof option and you change the roof structure, let's switch this down to a 3 and 12 pitch, and you're an interior designer, you may get a simple vault by simply controlling it out of the pitch of the roof. Likewise, you can create a very simple barrel vault by clicking on both roof panels, in this case, opening them up, and down part way you can mark that it's a curved roof. At the ridge, we'll go ahead and set that at 0. The program's going to prompt you to make a few changes where it moves the plate height and also turns off the automatic roof. And you can create a pretty simple barrel vault in this case. The program includes a custom ceiling plane tool you can use when the roof and ceiling pitch may be different. Let me press undo a couple of times and get back to the 6 and 12 pitched roof. To create the custom ceiling, let's go back into the floor plan and let's go in and use the tool to create a custom ceiling plane. Using this tool, I'm going to come down, I'm going to left click on the inside of the wall, click and drag to the other outside of the wall, come up slope and click on the midpoint. At this point, when you go back into the 3D view, you may not be able to tell much difference. In fact, let me tile my screen by pressing Shift F6. When I draw the custom ceiling plane, it comes in at the exact same pitch of the roof. By selecting the ceiling plane, you can come in and change the pitch of that ceiling plane, in this case to be 3 and 12. When you make the change in a 3D view, you can see it pivot down. Let's go ahead and draw the exact same ceiling plane on the other side. We'll come in on the inside of the wall, click and drag up slope, come back into that ceiling plane, change the pitch to 3 and 12. In this case, I have ceiling planes that are at 3 and 12. The roof is at 6 and 12. Now, one of the nice things you can use in the program is a truss, and it will fill the envelope between the ceiling and the roof once you have that formed. Using the truss tool, I'll come down, simply come across here and put a roof truss in, and you can see that it fills that cavity. If you have unique shaped trusses, you might consider keeping the flat ceiling in, drawing your truss in there, and then you can remove the ceiling out and you can get a flat truss and get it exposed in through the structure. I'm going to go ahead and delete that roof truss. Just like the roof planes, we can curve the ceiling planes. Let's hold our Shift key down, and I'm going to grab both of these ceiling planes, open them up, and come down, mark that it's a curved ceiling. At the ridge or the peak, I'll switch that to be at 0 degrees, and that will create your barrel vault, specifically that is different from the roof. And that's how you can create a barrel vault using the manual ceiling tools. There may be a situation where you want to have the soffit follow the ceiling. I'm going to go ahead and press undo, and I want to put a number of soffits or false beams that will follow the ceiling. Let's zoom in a little bit into the design. I'm going to use the soffit tool, come over here, click and place the soffit. You can see it back in the 3D view. Let's go ahead and pull that to the midpoint. Open up the soffit properties. You'll find an option to place this underneath the ceiling, which will mark it as sloped. That will follow the ceiling pitch. And at this point, I can use the copy tool, reflect it about the center, and if I hold my Shift key down, grab both of these, I can use a multiple copy. Let's set the interval to be 48 inches. And then I can create a copy of those soffits all the way down and create the false beam or the soffited look inside of this ceiling. It would also work on a flat ceiling if you're trying to create a view that looks more like this one in our introductory slide. So using the soffit tool gives you a lot of flexibility in how you want to create your different ceiling styles. You can create shelf rooms inside of the program. In this vaulted ceiling, we may have an entryway with a lowered closet or maybe a pantry inside of a vaulted kitchen. Let's take a look at creating a shelf ceiling room back in this corner. In the plan view, I'm going to use our interior wall tool, and I'm going to just come in here and create a simple rectangular room. Notice how the walls go all the way up to the ceiling. To create a shelf room, click inside the room that is formed by those walls, double-click to open it up. On the structure panel, again down in the ceiling category, mark that it's a shelf ceiling. You may also want to change the ceiling height. In this case, maybe let's subtract 36 inches so that it shows up. You can see the walls no longer go all the way to the ceiling. This is called a shelf room inside of Chief Architect. Let me press undo a few more times. Let's get back to having a flat style ceiling. There may be situations when you want to create a tray ceiling. We have an automatic tray ceiling tool. There's a manual tray ceiling tool that we can use for a coffer look. And then the last step will be to create a custom shape. I'll use a circle to create a coffer. Click inside the room. In your lower edit menu is a tool to make a tray ceiling inside of the room. This will open up the dialog. You can control the width, the depth, the pitch, whether it's vertical or you specify a pitch in here. And then you can also control the ceiling layers if you care about the structure. And then specifically for moldings and rope lights, you can control if there's a rope lighting that's embedded above that ceiling. I'm going to go ahead and use the default settings for this tray ceiling, and you can see that the tray ceiling is formed using the attributes we defined for that. And one of the things you can do is modify these tray ceilings. If we go ahead and make this much smaller, we'll create a coffer style ceiling. Let's zoom in here just a little bit, and on the width, let's go ahead and click and set it to be 30 inches, and maybe we'll set it to be exactly 3 feet in this direction. And I'm going to use the multiple copy tool, and I'm going to fill this space to create the coffer. Using the multiple copy tool, again in my lower edit toolbar, let's click on the multiple value. Let's load it up to be 42 by 60. I'm going to right click, hold my mouse down, release my mouse, come down, left click, and fill the space. Let's zoom in so we can kind of see the coffer effect that we used with that multiple copy tool. So this is a typical coffer ceiling, and I did it using the automatic tray ceiling tool. Let's press undo a couple of times, get back to the flat ceiling, and let's look at the process for creating a custom ceiling shape using just a CAD tool, and I want to use a circle to do this. Using the circle tool, let's come down, let's create a circle that is 3 feet in diameter. So let's just click on this, set it to be 3 feet. And while that is still selected, I'm going to come down and use this convert polyline tool, and then I'm going to choose to make it a tray ceiling. Notice this automatically opens up the tray ceiling specification. You can go through the exact same properties. Notice that you also can recess that up into the ceiling, which may be an option. You can also nest these. If I open up this rendering, you can see that this is nested. You can create nested tray ceilings using this tool. Let's go ahead and close the dialog, accept all of the defaults. Using the exact same multiple copy tool, let's reload new values in here. I'm going to change this to be 60 inches by 60 inches. Using the same multiple copy, hold my right mouse button down, release, pull the mouse down, and then left click and form the Austin Power style ceiling using that custom ceiling shape tool. In this final segment of the seminar, let's look at the process to create this style of a honeycomb ceiling. I'm going to use a molding polyline in our CAD tools. Let's go back into the floor plan view and take a look. One of the tricks that I do when I'm creating a design based on a photo is actually drag the photo into the program. If I slide over my file folder and I pull this into my floor plan, usually this will come in on a layer called CAD Default. I'm just going to resize this and pull it off to the side. I'm just going to use this as a reference point as I take a look at what I need to do to draw this in the program. In the floor plan, I'm going to begin by clicking inside the room and using the tray ceiling tool and using the exact same tray 24 inches off of the wall, and we'll build the exact same tray for the outside perimeter. This won't be exact for the photograph. I've created the tray, and now I'm going to fill the inside of it with these octagon shaped millwork items. To do that, I'm going to come up into my CAD tools. I'm going to choose a regular polygon, and here you can define what the number of sides are and what the length is. I'm going to define an octagon with 8 sides, 20 inches to each side, and I'm just going to come over here and place it approximately where it needs to be. So this is just a CAD object. If you look at this in 3D, you can't see any of the CAD drawing that we just created. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to click on this octagon, and in my lower edit menu, I'm going to use the tool called Convert to Polyline. In here, I'm going to convert this to a molding polyline, and then I'm going to go out and I'm going to choose the molding profile. On the moldings panel, I'm going to come in, I'm going to click on Add New. It doesn't really matter which molding you use. I'm going to go ahead and use one that I've created specifically that has an interesting sharp shape. It's 6 inches in height. On the general panel, I'll set the elevation of it. For the height, I'm going to set it at 121 and an eighth. And then I'm going to subtract the molding height, which is 6, and then the sheetrock depth, which is 5/8. So that will set the bottom of the molding at 114 and a half. If we go back into the 3D view, you can see that we've created the octagon, and now all I need to do is an array copy operation to fill the space. Select the molding, and what I might first do is just do a quick measurement and figure out what the distance is on this. It's about 4 feet. I want to have a little bit of an overlap. I'm going to use a multiple copy operation that's approximately, we'll just call it 46 1/4 in the primary and in the secondary, that'll give us that approximate 2-inch overlap. Hold my right mouse button down, click to the right, and then let go of the mouse, come down and left click. You can see that it doesn't quite fill the room. For the purpose of the video, I'm just going to pull that molding back on the ceiling so that it snaps into place. And then when you go into the 3D view, it should look pretty good, with the exception when you tilt it up and you see the diamond or the square shape in here does not actually have a molding. So one final step would be to use a rectangle and do the exact same operation. I'm going to come over here, I'm going to create a rectangle. We'll just come in here. If you know the exact dimensions and you're using Chief Architect Premiere, as you're dragging out an object, you can press the Tab key and it will prompt you to enter the coordinates. In this case, I'm going to make it 21 inches by 21 inches. And then the exact same operation we did before. Click on the CAD object, click on Convert to a polyline, choose that it's a molding polyline, set the height at, I think it was 114.5, and on the molding, browse out. I'll use the exact same molding I did previously. And then I can position this after I rotate it, come up, slide it into place. Notice it's going to be embedded in this outer tray or soffit. That's okay for the purposes of creating the image that I want. While the object is selected, I'm going to use the same multiple copy. The intervals are already loaded in there, so I don't need to click that again. I'm going to hold my right mouse button down, click and drag, release the mouse, come up. When I'm finished, I'm going to left click, go back into the 3D view. And now you can see the entire ceiling has been created. One final step for this operation, I want to put a crown molding inside of the room that would be below the tray. Let's go ahead and click inside the room in the 3D view, open up the room, and I'm going to come over to the moldings panel, and I want to go in and add a new crown molding. First step is to remove the check mark for Use Defaults. That will ungray the Add New operation, and I'm just going to come down and choose a molding profile out of the crown moldings. We'll just choose something that's fairly simplistic, and I will set the width to be pretty large as well as the height, 6 inches. And at this point, if you look at the diagram off to the side, that's going to put that right at the top of the ceiling. It's going to embed it above this soffit or this tray. So on the vertical offset, our tray was 1 foot or 12 inches. I'm going to take and put that same value in there, press the Tab key, you see the preview update, and then when I close the dialog, you can see exactly where that crown molding comes in to the room and allows you to get the detail that you're after. At this point, we completed the honeycomb ceiling, and when you look at the photograph, we came pretty close to what we wanted to create using the CAD tools and converting that to a molding polyline.
So those are kind of a few of the tips for different ceiling styles that I had prepared.
Scott, is it okay if I tell everybody about the Chief Challenge this week?
Oh yeah, that'd be great.
First of all, I wanted to announce that Zita, who's actually here in the webinar, has submitted her design from last week's roof challenge, and she will be sent a prize pack this week.
So we got great Chief gear in there, is that right?
Yep. I'm going to chat out a link to the contest. All you have to do is click the link, follow the little video tutorial, and then post on social media using the hashtag Chief Challenge. And we'll select 3 winners to win a prize pack.
Awesome. Along with that, if you want to learn more about how the program works, it's one thing to watch the video, it's another thing to actually go through and create it. You'll find this plan that I started. It's a very basic rectangular room, and then the list of items that we have down here that I kind of went through rather quickly. You can download that plan, you can create it for yourself. You'll find the link in the chat, and you can then download it and try it for yourself. And we'd appreciate if you post your images on the hashtag Chief Challenge on social media. Look forward to seeing you. Next week, we have a session coming up next Thursday at noon. We're going to be talking about terrains. And if you want to learn, we're going to go through and create some sloping of terrain, and we'll go through a number of things that you may use to create a site plan. In this case, I have a landscape plan up on my screen. So we're going to do that. We've been doing these sessions on Thursdays. If I grab my current schedule and we just kind of pull that over, we'll take a look at what we have coming up. So next week is site plans. That's Thursday. And we've been doing those at noon Pacific time. And then we're starting a boot camp class. If you're a little bit newer to the program, this is going to be about a 2-hour class. We've got an instructor hosted chat session that will be going along with that. It'll show you how to use the program. And then in 2 weeks, we've got 3D rendering. We've got a full training class coming up for kitchens and baths. If you're interested, that class is 4 hours a day for 4 days. It begins on May 20th. And then we're going to be doing ray tracing the following week, and then we're going to be adding another schedule here for the month of June. Hope to see you on one of those sessions again. Thanks everybody for attending. We'll look forward to terrains next week. See you then, and have a great day.